Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus.
And I'm Shelby.
And we're Crugers with the C. How you doing, honey?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back recording.
Me too.
All right, so I know it's been a while, and we got a load of topics for you guys, and we're going to try to dive into some different type of discussions and some difficult discussions. And I think today would be one of those more difficult discussions, and we're going to entitle it Getting Through Tough Times. And one of the tough times that we had to face as a couple was the loss of a child. In 2013, we suffered the loss of a child, and I'll let Shelby go more into it.
Like Marcus said, 2013, we lost a daughter. Yes, it was another girl. But 2013, I was getting up for work one morning. It was Valentine's Day.
Right.
And I was getting up for work, and I went to use the bathroom. And, you know, after doing that, I went back in the room just to sit down for a minute. And I realized, hey, I was still using the bathroom. But
she wasn't using the bathroom.
I wasn't using the bathroom. My water broke.
Right.
And it was not time. I was 21 weeks. And I just was so confused. So the first thing I did was call Marcus at work. He was at work. And he was like, why you call me? I was like, I don't know.
I needed her to call the ambulance. So I needed her to get help because I was like 30 miles away. So it wasn't like I could get there quick. I needed her to go ahead and get to the hospital.
Yeah, so right after that, of course, I called 911 and they came. And I had to wake up the girls, pack them up, and put them all in the ambulance. And we went to the hospital.
Right.
And he met us there. And sure enough, my water did break. And like I said, I was 21 weeks. And it took him a while to figure out what was going on. And then after that, like a gang of doctors came in, like SWAT, and gave us two options: abort or try to get to 25 weeks where I can deliver and the baby can just survive on her own. She'll have better options.
So basically, the baby was just in her stomach, outside of the bag, no protection, just pretty much living inside of her stomach.
Yeah. So,
they gave us the two options. Abortion was not one of the options.
So we just told them that we'll just wait this thing out and we'll just see what God wants to do. So of course that's what we did, and they put me on bed rest, and I was on because they just didn't want me to risk getting any infections, and they just wanted me just to deliver. Right.
And they said it gave us they said if her fever get to a certain degree,
I think it was 102.
102, I think sound right.
Yeah.
She would have to come back to the hospital.
Yeah, so it was a lot of rules that I had to follow. I had to stay in bed. I couldn't go anywhere. But anyways, at that time, we had family in town because that weekend was Paige's birthday
party. Yeah.
And she had a birthday party at the bowling alley. I couldn't go to that. And we just had family all there celebrating that. And Marcus was there at the party too. And I just stayed back home. So after that,
your fever.
I began to get a fever. So I went to the hospital. And I don't remember that part. Marcus said we went
to the hospital because when we was at the party, you called me. And so I went and picked her up. And when I picked you up, we came back to the bowling alley so you could speak. Then we went to the hospital.
Yeah.
So once we went to the hospital, they sent you back home.
I guess they sent me back home.
Right.
I don't know why that part is just blank to me.
I remember that.
Well, they sent me back home, and
fever went up again.
Fever went up, and I just started feeling cramps.
Right.
And I was in labor.
And those weren't cramps; those were contractions.
Yes, I was in labor, so I went back to the hospital. And I think I was in labor for 4 hours and delivered her. And she lived 2 hours after I delivered her, and she passed away.
She was able to fit in the palm of my hand, from head to toe. I was holding her that, in the palm of my hands. But just a brief description: her eyes were still closed,
and her fingers were still webbed. So she wasn't fully developed.
No.
And it just was amazing that she lived for 2 hours. So we was thankful for that.
Right. You can even see her heartbeat.
Yeah. It was tough, and it was tough afterwards. to, stay in the hospital and you have no baby.
Right.
I had to stay there for a couple of days. We had love and support from family,
Right.
church members, friends, but it was tough. Now, that was one tough part.
That was tough. And we saying all this just like to give you a description of what we went through, how everything happened, and just basically to just talk about it, to get it off our chest, because it's so many people that go through this, and you wouldn't realize how many people go through it and how many people don't talk about it.
Yes.
But until you face it, you know?
Because it was a lot of
Right.
women that reached out to me that this exact thing has happened to them. One lady, her child survived, and other women, their children didn't survive. So it was like, really? And you just think that you're the only one. And I know it's hard to talk about, but you have to talk about it because there's someone out there that can support you and tell you how to get through it, because we needed that support.
Right.
And it was just to me, it was such an unreal situation. Like, I really thought I was the only one.
Because you described it like, you in the hospital, you were pregnant, you had a baby, but you going home without a baby.
Yeah, and also my body knew that I had a baby because I started producing milk. So that was even harder because that happened when I got home. Mm-hmm. And also we had to plan a funeral and we did a little obituary. It was just a lot going on. So I'm planning the funeral, but at the same time I'm producing milk.
Right.
That was just like a really tough situation to deal with, but we were there for each other.
Right. And let's just say, let's talk about some stuff that we had to realize we had to do to get through it.
Yeah.
And one of those things was we had to be able to communicate to each other.
Yes.
Especially because we together, it's not like this is my baby mama, this is my wife, and I'm not saying nothing about. I'm just saying, in this union, we had to be able to talk to each other. Even if you're not in the union, you still need to be able to talk to it. Even if you're a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it may be, and you face this, it's not nobody's fault.
Right.
So I can't blame you. You can't blame me. So whatever your relationship status may be, you got to know that you can't blame that other person.
Yes, you have to know that. But women, I am not knocking the husband or the boyfriend or the fiance. I'm not. But women, you cannot go into this saying that you were a failure. You cannot blame that on yourself, because you'll just bring yourself down even more. Just know that this was God's will, and his will be revealed to you sooner or later, even if you're going through all your emotions, so you won't be able to see it right away, but trust me, it will come to you, and you cannot sit there and blame yourself. Oh, I can't carry a child. Oh, I'm not a good woman, or whatever the thoughts that may creep up in your mind. You cannot do that. You have to stay positive. You have to stay focused and just understand there's a reason for it, and you have to be strong enough, because you will be a testimony to somebody, just like all those women was a testimony to us. So now I can be a testimony to someone else and help them get through it and help them be strong and tell them our experience. Even if you're a single mother or you're a fiance, boyfriend, or married couple, we can tell you guys, encourage you guys how to get through this, because you're going to need one another to get through.
And men would need that same exact thing, because I was there for you mostly, and I put my feelings aside, and as a man I could do that, but it's gonna come that time to where you're gonna face that reality of what happened. It hit me. I was home alone, and what triggered me was a pair of shoes on the floor. And that's when everything rushed back to me. I didn't deal with it right then. I dealt with it later. But it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about your feelings. Mm-hmm. And I talked about it a lot at work, but people just, when people, that conversation come up and people ask you, how many kids you got? I would always say how many I had, but I would say, well, I had this one, but this happened. So that was my way to deal with that, just to get it, to be able to talk about it. So I could talk about it with you at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that we have to communicate. Don't hold it in, because it's going to destroy you on the inside.
But don't rush it.
That too.
Don't rush it, but don't hold it forever. You know, because if you do that, you'll never be able to move on. You know, you just got to do little stuff that, you know, will help you be able to say that, you know, my child was here. I love my child. Like, what we do is we decorate her grave. She have a grave and a headstone and all of that. So,
we had a funeral.
Right, we had a funeral.
We had to pick out a casket. We
Real
had to
funeral.
do everything that you do when you bury somebody.
Right.
So we go out and we put little pinwheels on her grave,
Yeah.
and we just acknowledge her every year, or we go check on it, and we just, every time we think about it, we go and check on her grave, clean it up, and put new things out there, flowers, pinwheels, just in remembrance.
Yeah. You know. So, you know, a lot of people go through this, and we know that we went through it, and we just felt like this would be something that we should talk about, because we don't know who may be experiencing something like this. Yeah, it was time to talk about it.
It was time to talk about it. I just got comfortable talking about it out loud to Marcus in a whole conversation. I would do piece by piece throughout the years, but now I can talk about it.
Well, it's 4 years later. It took some time, you know, we never would sugarcoat or not talk about it. It was just, well, you know, at your own pace.
Yeah, I was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope this was helpful.
Right.
I hope it encouraged somebody. I hope it gave somebody strength, a couple, anybody. I just really want y'all to know that you are not the only one. We will not be the only ones. This will happen again. We have to pick up and move on. Oh, definitely if you have other children, you have to pick up and you have to move on and have strength for those other children. If you don't have other children, don't give up. Your time is coming. You have to stay strong. You have to be motivated. You have to speak life. You cannot say, I can't. If you speak it, that's what's going to happen. So you just have to be positive. I know it's easier said than done, but you have to make sure you do that. You will get through it. I promise you.
Yeah, you'll get through it. So if you have any other comments, maybe even if you have questions or, you know, anything, you could just drop a comment below. We'll be more than happy to share a little bit more in-depth knowledge of what we experienced and help you get through your time. So until the next time, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Shelby. And we're Crugers with the C.